You're watching the Green Hyundai Friday Night Showdown Preview Show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Green Hyundai Friday Night Showdown Preview Show. For the next half hour, we will preview all the big games tonight and tonight's CEFCU Friday Night Showdown Game of the Week. Joining us now live from our Game of the Week is Paul Wapple and Adam Anderson back on the call here in Week 2. Now, guys, this is an early Game of the Year candidate. Rochester and Mount Zion, two high-powered squads. What are we looking at initially in this one?
Yeah, I think we're looking at a lot of firepower. Two great offensive teams. This is going to be incredible. This is the game that everybody in the state's looking forward to tonight. Ranked number 2, Rochester in 4A, and number 3 in 4A is Mount Zion.
Yeah, we just talked great moments are born from great opportunities. Everybody who loves the movie Miracle like I do will notice that. This is a great opportunity for both teams tonight to really send a message throughout the state that 4A South is going to go through one of these schools. I firmly believe that.
Both teams had impressive wins last week. Rochester beat a Gibson Southern team from Indiana handily. Mount Zion shut out Limestone 49-0. I think there's going to be a lot of offense tonight. Sammy?
Thanks, guys. Now it's time to meet our home team. That's the Mount Zion Braves. Now, this is a program that reached their first ever state final last season and a team with one of the most frightening offensive casts in Central Illinois.
Very efficient in week 1. I think offensively we were very efficient as far as moving the ball, executing our plays, taking care of the football, doing things kind of we practiced all summer.
That we brought the energy, because last year I know we started late with the energy, and I think definitely helped this year when we started off quick. Last year it took a little bit of losses for us to get there, but I think this year we started off early and we got to keep it going, gas on the pedal all day.
Our kind of result last year, while it ended poorly, it inspired our guys to get out more and start enhancing their game before practice, after practice, when there is no practice.
If you look at Rochester's game last week, they scored on big plays, some trick plays, just some blown coverage type things. So for us, eliminate the big plays, take care of the football. Gibson Southern turned it over 3 times or 4 times.
Very important for us to come out strong against these teams and really give our full effort and have our full energy, because it'll show what our capabilities are.
I think if we beat these 3 teams, then it's going to really show the other teams that we're better than we really are, and that we didn't just have one good year.
In games like this, we play great opponents and teams that are very well coached, you find out what you need to work on. And so, our kids are going to face some adversity. They're going to see some things, and, hopefully it prepares us for the rest of the years. And, our goal is to play our best football in November, not September. So we're going to learn from these in these next few weeks and go from there.
Now there they are, it's Mount Zion. They struggled on Friday Night Showdown last year against Muhammad Seymour, but that game a turning point for them. They got hot and we learned just how dangerous of an offense they can have. What are you guys thinking will be their key to a home victory tonight, guys?
Yeah, the Braves have some great players on offense, led by All-Stater, Ole Miss commit, J.C. Anderson. Adam, who wouldn't want a 6'7", 243-pound tight end who's also pretty darn good defensive end as well?
I know, and he gets a lot of the attention. You know who loves him? Probably Keller Soxer, quarterback. I do think he is one of the more underrated quarterbacks in Central Illinois, maybe out through Southern Illinois as well. He does a great job taking care of this Mount Zion offense. I think he will be maybe the catalyst to leading them to a victory tonight.
Braves have 8 starters back on offense, 7 on defense. They went to the state championship game, like Sammy said, last year. They want to get back there and win the whole thing.
Absolutely, and these sophomores and juniors playing that many extra games only is going to help them this year, especially in an early season matchup like they're going to get tonight.
Think it'll come down to a defensive play or turnover?
We've been talking about a lot of points scored. I do think it's going to be a bigger defensive battle than what maybe everybody thinks.
Okay, Sammy?
Now we switch gears to our visitors, the Rochester Rockets. They haven't been on a Game of the Week broadcast since 2021. It's been long overdue, but they are back and they are on the road ready for a 4-quarter battle with a similarly potent offense.
We were a little questionable on how physical we could be. We know we have the athleticism, but we just needed the game to show that we are physical and just to get the ball rolling for the season.
We put in some kids, second string, even some third string guys that, did a great job. And so I think it kind of won us the game at the end. So sometimes that youth and inexperience, when it's good, isn't bad. They each give you stuff that, JP gives you stuff that Tanner doesn't do, and Tanner gives you stuff that JP can't do.
It's just nice to have a fresh quarterback, and we know we can get it done with Cordell. He's a little more athletic, so it's nice to have just a dual threat quarterback too.
We're young and we make a lot of mistakes, and so we really need to focus on making less little mistakes and being more physical with our talent.
You got to stop their big guns, and you got to stop Anderson. You got to stop the receiver, number 2, and you got to stop the quarterback. And I think those 3 they make them tick.
And so if you take one of those options away, and then it gets slowly, like it just gets less options until we finally just snuff them out for good.
It's huge. These are 2, like last game and this game, they're 2 huge games. It's our out-of-conference games. We can just show that we can do it. We can do it against anybody. We're mainly focusing on just shut them down. I mean, we know we can get it done on offense. We will not have a problem with that. We just got to shut them down, and it's going to be history from there.
There you have it. The Rockets, they are the visitors tonight, and I'll say it again, my favorite game on the entire schedule. They bring creativity, multiple options at the QB position, and speed at the skill positions. Guys, they want to be physical tonight, but do they have enough to beat the Braves at home?
I think the Rockets do have enough to beat the Braves. It should be a good game. You've got quarterback J.P. Leonard, the junior, the nephew of Coach Derek Leonard, had a really good game last week. So did Tanner Bielek, quarterback, and sophomore Cordell Gregory, Adam. First play from scrimmage, 69 yards for a touchdown last week. The Rockets are loaded once again.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the Swiss Army man, Cordell Gregory. You're going to see him catching passes, playing defense, probably even maybe throwing a pass or 2 here tonight. He was a quarterback at JFL growing up, so he knows what he's doing. I think to have a weapon like that with Derek Leonard's offensive mind is indispensable, and it could become huge here tonight.
And Rochester got better as that game went on last week, had a chance to see it, and their defense played really, really well in the second half. So
yeah, absolutely. And underneath the sun and the heat, we're not hopefully going to have any cramps here tonight. We're going to get through that. You know, we're going to have a great game and nice cool weather, and wind actually has died down, so I could see it flying all over the place.
And the Rockets have a couple other good receivers, Nate Swaney and Tristan Stanton.
And Eli Cox was one of the big targets last year. I'm not even sure he caught a pass last week. So you got Brooks Gavin in the back end too. The other Gregory Cornell can play offense and defense. The depth that Rochester has this year, I think, is something Derek hasn't had in a while. So they'll be entertaining to watch.
I totally agree. Sammy?
Oh, thanks, Paul and Adam. We will come back to you guys both after we take the break, but we got to talk about a few more things. And first, it's time for our Game of the Week players to watch. And for the host, Mount Zion, it's Keller Stocks. His man, Jacob Harvey, didn't make it easy choosing with 3 touchdowns last week, but Stocks, he threw 5 in the season opener against Limestone, and he had a great junior campaign with 33 tuds and a near 3,000-yard season. The multi-sport state qualifier will have to sling it tonight to set the pace against Rochester. And Rochester, they may key in on one of those weapons to try to shut down an option. And for our road team, it's going to be one of the weapons on the other side, a speedy all-state qualifier in track in the 4x100 relay. Tristan Stanton, he showed out with a few big plays for the Rockets. 3 receptions, 112 yards, and 2 touchdowns against Gibson Southern. Expect him to be a threat again today, regardless of who is throwing the ball. Had 1 TD from Gregory and 1 from Beal last week. All the arms seem to love him. And coming up after the break, we will check back in with Paul and Adam to talk about a few more big games here in Central Illinois, including a pair of Sangamo Conference battles. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Green Hyundai Friday Night Showdown Preview Show.
Now, welcome back in to Green Hyundai Friday Night Showdown pregame show. We've discussed our game of the week, Rochester and Mount Zion, but we are back with Paul and Adam, and it's time we dive into conference play. 2 games in the Sangamo stood out to me. Going to go to you guys to get you to weigh in. Tell me what you're thinking. First, it's the Bullets. They had a dominant performance in week 1 against Auburn, while Porta, with higher expectations or hopes this year, they stumbled out of the gates with a close loss to Olympia. Do the Blue Jays have enough to hang here with the Bullets?
Boy, I tell you what, Porta is much improved. The Blue Jays are a lot better than last year. They lost, like you said, they lost a heartbreaker last week to a good Stanford Olympia team. They've got the work cut out for themselves tonight against Williamsville, who had a great opening game.
Yeah, I heard all summer that Porta's going to be a team to watch in the Sangamo. Could they sneak into the playoffs, win maybe 5-6 games? Lost a heartbreaker. Do they have enough to keep up with the Bullets? I mean, I don't know. Williamsville has a ton of firepower again. I think they are hitting on early cylinders, with some new guys they've put in that offense and defensive line. So it'll be interesting to see what the final comes out. I think the Bullets might have a little too much, though, for them.
Yeah, and if the Bullets do win, it will be interesting to see how that game goes, how close it is if Williamsville does indeed win that game.
Yeah, I think a lot of eyes in the Sangamo are going to be watching that game.
All right, Sammy?
Yeah, that one's sure to be interesting. And the other game in conference we have an eye on is Maroa Forsyth, also starting their season with a comfortable home win. They're back on Walter Boyd Field against Pleasant Plains, who, as we know, started with a W against New Berlin on Friday Night Showdown. Guys, is this just a simple Maroa is going to win the game, or did Plains show you something last week and they got a puncher's chance?
I think the Cardinals showed us something last week on Friday Night Showdown, no doubt. Came back against New Berlin. Pleasant Plains had a rough year ago. They got some confidence after that win. They obviously have a tough challenge ahead against the Trojans tonight.
Yeah, but momentum's a heck of a thing. Coming off such a rough season for Pleasant Plains and coming out and getting that victory in week 1 could help them. Again, do they have enough to stick up with Maroa? I think the Trojans are going to be one of the last teams playing on Thanksgiving weekend as an early prediction, I guess, if you want to hold me to it. I think Plains is going to be in an uphill battle, but it'll be interesting to see what that final score is. Can they hang in there with Maroa for a while?
Yeah, I think Pleasant Plains has to play an almost perfect game tonight, which maybe they can, and even then, do they still win? They've got the work cut out for themselves, but anything can happen. Week 2, we'll see.
Yeah, if it were at Plains, I might maybe lean a little bit to that game being closer, but them having to take the trip over to Maroa, that's not an easy place to play. But it'll be interesting to see what the outcome is.
It sure will. All right, Sammy, back to you.
Thanks, Paul, and thank you, Adam. Everyone can catch that duo again back for game time in just over 15 minutes. But now we head out east to talk with Carson Cordy. He's got 3 games to break down. Now, Carson, what games are we going to look at? What can we expect out by Champaign?
It's week 2 of the high school football season, and very soon we're going to be treated to one of the best rivalries in Central Illinois. Monticello hosting Unity.
I mean, they've been a top rival for as long as I can remember, since I was a kid coming to the games and watching.
It's a rematch of last year's 3A semifinal. Unity's last-second and successful Hail Mary touchdown called off because of a legal man downfield penalty. A heartbreaking finish that sent the Sages to the state championship instead.
We felt that. We know what happened, and even though it's always there, it kind of just motivates us to push for what we're going to do this season. And we gotta know that that's behind us, and what's in front of us is definitely something to prove.
The Rockets are loaded this year, bring back most offensive starters. This includes their dynamic wide receiver, Jerry Hogard, and Central Missouri quarterback commit, Dane Eisenmenger. Players think the program can win their first ever state title this year. And for the Sages, they did lose their quarterback Ike Young and 17 other seniors this offseason. But so far, so good in week 1. Quarterback Nolan Bennenkemper, he's got a really strong arm and looks to elevate the Sages' passing attack after a low-scoring 21-6 win in week 1.
It's just a little different. We have a lot of good running backs this year. We have plenty. We are running the ball a lot more, but Nolan throws pretty good, pretty far, and I think the throwing game is definitely there as well.
Another big game, of course, is Champaign Centennial, taking on Champaign Central in a crosstown battle. Both programs lost their first game of the year and really cannot afford a second one this early if they want to contend for a good playoff spot. Centennial, they lost a lot of seniors last year, including their quarterback, Kellen Davis. They hope the offense clicks better in week 2 after a disappointing shutout in week 1. And Central's offense, that's not the issue. They scored 41 points in their week 1 matchup against Springfield. The issue is that they gave up 51 to the Senators. Central's offense is led by second-year quarterback Mark Johnson, the dual-threat quarterback. And running back Zaire Aker, an explosive 1,000-yard back who transferred from Centennial for this season. In the final game to highlight, Paxton Buckley Loda taking on St. Joseph Ogden. Panthers are 1-0 right now, but Friday is going to be a big challenge. Spartans coming off that 11-win season. They return their do-it-all quarterback Cody McKinney and have won the best offensive lineman in the region with Cameron Wagner. The four-star junior, who already has scholarship offers from Illinois, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State, and Florida.
He knows he's the best. We all know he's the best, but he doesn't come out here and just show up. He's putting in as much work, even more than everybody else here.
I'm Carson Gordy. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tonight with the highlights.
Thanks, Carson, and don't forget, we'll have all the highlights, like he said, from tonight's games coming up on our CEFCU Friday Night Showdown recap show. Now, the recap show kicks off at 10:15 over on News Channel 20, and I'll be breaking down the action from the gridiron. Again, that's tonight at 10:15. And after the break, we will check in with the rest of our Friday Night Showdown team, including a weather update from our very own Darren Leeds.
Welcome back to the Green Hyundai Friday Night Showdown preview show.
Welcome back. It's the Green Hyundai Friday Night Showdown preview show, and we're going to be heading back out over to Mount Zion to check in with the rest of our Friday Night Showdown crew. And that's going to start with meteorologist Darren Leeds for a look at our football forecast. Darren, take it away.
Yeah, and Sammy, this is pretty typical fall football weather that you kind of want to experience rather than the warm, humid conditions that we kind of dealt with out there last week. But things have been much cooler across central Illinois as of recently. It feels more like early October than the start of September, just based on our temperatures. And just over about the last 15-20 minutes or so, we've already seen our temperatures drop about 2 to 3 degrees. Right now, we're sitting at 61 here in Mount Zion. People definitely came prepared for the chillier severe conditions. Jackets, hoodies, sweatpants, even some folks bringing out their blankets. And the winds have definitely calmed down, which should help out the kicking game as well. But yes, perfect conditions for our Friday night football, and you can expect much of the same across all of our games going on out there for this evening. But yeah, great weather out there. I'll send it back to you in the studio, Sammy.
Now, great weather, that's a concerningly thick jacket, but watch out. This coming Monday, we have a Bears countdown to kickoff show on ABC. Now, before the Bears' Monday night season opener against the Minnesota Vikings, also on ABC, Carson and I will preview the game, what to expect from both the Bears and Vikings as we enter Week 1, and even more. So make sure to check that out next Monday at 6:30 p.m. And high school football, of course, brings excitement to the entire community, including those that aren't in between the white lines. So our sideline reporter Spencer Davis is in Mount Zion with more. Spencer.
Thanks, Sammy. I'm standing by with Patrick Ward, the director of the marching band here at Mount Zion. And Mr. Ward, how long have you been at this?
This is my 9th year here in Mount Zion. I taught for a couple years before I came here.
Okay, so what kind of got you inspired to go into music direction?
Definitely my teachers that I had. They were really great mentors to me, both in musicianship but just as people. And that was really important to me and who I am, and I was inspired to kind of follow in those footsteps.
And that's what you're doing right here with the marching band. What can we expect from them tonight?
Hey, we're working hard. It's still kind of early in our season too, so we've got the first 2 movements of our field show. Our field show is called The Sky Full of Stars, so you'll hear some Mozart, you'll hear some Stairway to Heaven tonight.
A little bit of the classical music and the rock.
Right.
Where did that?
Classics all the way.
Okay, well, Mr. Ward, thank you so much for your time, and again, best of luck for you guys in your season as well.
Thank you.
All right, Sammy, back to you in the studio.
Now, thanks, Spencer. I may have to ask you to break out your phone, get a little Stairway to Heaven recording. I may need that one. Quite the combo out there. Great story as you keep things fresh for us each and every week. But when we come back, we're going to wrap up our Green Hyundai preview show before sending things back out to Spencer, Paul, and Adam for our Friday night Showdown Game of the Week.